Now, you've made American Freedom to Fascism. I want to walk through that film, and I want to encourage everybody out there to get a copy of it on DVD. It was also in theaters around the country, and I think the best film out there on the Federal Reserve and the IRS and the whole banker scam.
Well, first of all, Freedom to Fascism is a movie that everybody should see, because we show the fraud of the income tax. We show how judges put people in jail for no reason. We show the corruption of the justice system, and we show how the Federal Reserve came into being and how it's controlling society, and how all the central banks of the world are working together through the Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland, which is the central bank for all the central banks, and how they all work together to create this one world government, the one world order, which is what they're trying to do. So Freedom to Fascism is a movie just to get you a good basic education about how the world is really working. And I really want everybody to see that movie. Critical. Now, so then in 1913, they bring the Federal Reserve System into being, right? And now you have this Federal Reserve System, which then in 1913 got the right to create money for the government, when before that the government created its own money. Now the government, when it needed money, had to borrow it from this private bank called the Federal Reserve, which is a private bank owned by individuals, incorporated in Delaware. And so what happens is, now the government borrows money from them to fund the government. Then the government says, well, we have to pay these people interest. How are we going to pay them interest? Let's impose a tax on the labor of the American people, which never existed before, to pay the interest of the bankers.
En France, c'est pareil. Tout ce que vous payez en impôt sur le revenu, 100% de ce que vous payez, ne sert pas à faire marcher les hôpitaux, les écoles, les services publics. Pas du tout. Ça part tout dans le service de la dette, c'est-à-dire que ça part dans les poches des riches qui ont prêté à l'État, parce que l'État a renoncé à créer lui-même la monnaie dont il a besoin. L'État, c'est l'État. Nous, en fait, nos représentants, en fait, des félons, des traîtres ont obligé l'État, nous ont obligés à nous endetter auprès d'acteurs privés, donc des gens qui, par définition, ont de l'argent. S'ils peuvent nous prêter, c'est qu'ils ont de l'argent. À nous endetter auprès de ces gens-là, en leur payant un intérêt. Et cet intérêt, alors, il a grandi depuis 1973. Et si vous regardez les déficits, alors les déficits de chaque année, ils sont égaux au service de la dette. C'est-à-dire que s'il n'y avait pas la dette, on serait resté à peu près, grosso modo, on serait resté à peu près à l'équilibre, à peu près. C'est-à-dire qu'en fait, le déséquilibre, c'est la formation de la dette et le service de la dette, pas le remboursement. C'est inaccessible le remboursement, ça fait trop d'argent. Le service de la dette, juste les intérêts, l'État le prend par l'impôt sur le revenu et le donne aux riches. Mais c'est incroyable qu'on accepte un système pareil. C'est juste incroyable qu'on accepte C'est incroyable qu'on appelle représentants des gens qui sont capables de nous trahir au dernier degré comme ça. Quand vous faites les milliards et que vous regardez ce qui nous manque pour la Sécu, vous regardez ce qui nous manque pour la retraite, vous regardez ce qui nous manque pour EDF, GDF, tous les services publics, mais attendez, vous avez tout ce qu'il faut.
The Federal Reserve is poison to our country. Of course it is. It's poison. Whoever makes the money makes the rules. Rothschild said that. And they make the money. Why are we allowing these private bankers to make the money for our country? It makes no sense. Why are we paying interest to these banks to make money for us when the government can do it itself without paying interest and without all that debt? There's no answer to that question, and it's the question no politician will raise. Everybody talks about America's debt, how much debt we're in. We're in debt because we have to borrow money. But we don't have to borrow money.
They designed it so we go into debt.
Exactly. I had a friend, Nick Rockefeller, okay, who was one of the Rockefeller family, and he, when I was running for governor in Nevada, he came to me, introduced himself to me through an attorney, and we became friends. We started talking about things, and I learned an awful lot from Mr. Rockefeller. And one of the things that we used to talk about was the ultimate plan of the banking industry, what they wanted to accomplish. And the goals of the banking industry, not just the Federal Reserve System, but the private banks in Germany and England, all over Italy, all over the world, they all work together. They're all central banks, and they're all part of the Communist Manifesto. You know, central banking is one of the major planks of the Communist Manifesto. We talk about America being a capitalistic country, but yet at the same time we have a central bank that plans everything for us, right? And the graduated income tax is another plank of the Communist Manifesto, right? So right there you have two major planks of the Communist Manifesto that have been brought in because of the Federal Reserve System, okay? So the ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one-world government run by the banking industry, run by the bankers, and they're doing it in sections. The European currency, the euro, and the European Constitution is one part of it. Now they're trying to do it in America with the North American Union, right? And they want to create a new currency called the Amero, right? And the whole agenda is to create a one-world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips, right? There'll be no more cash. And this is given me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. And all money will be in your chips. And so instead of having cash, anytime you have money in your chip, they can take out whatever they want to take out whenever they want to. If they say you owe us this much money in taxes, they just deduct it out of your chip digitally.
Total control.
Total control. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip. And you have nothing. You can't buy food. You can't do anything. It's total control of the people.
And that chip's connected to a database that has your purchasing records, what you do, what
everything.
you sell.
Everything is in there, you know? And so they want a one-world government controlled by them, everybody being chipped, all your money in those chips, and they control the chips, and they control people. And you become a slave. You become a serf to these people. That's their goal. That's their intention.
What did Rockefeller tell you about the Federal Reserve and their family owning part of it?
Well, he said the New York Fed is the main controlling interest of the Federal Reserve System. They control the bulk of it. So the New York Fed is really the Federal Reserve System. Even though there's 12 different banks, it's run by the New York Fed. And the New York Fed is basically the Federal Reserve System. So who's ever running the New York Fed is where, and the families that control it, control the New York Fed. And they're the main engine behind the Federal Reserve System.
And that's a wing of the Bank of England.
Well, the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve are partners, you know, and the Bank of England is a private bank, and so is the Bundesbank in Germany, and the Bank of, all the banks of the G8 countries are all private banks. They're private central banks. And look, what happened in Europe? Didn't Europe vote down the European Constitution?
Yes.
They're still doing it. Didn't they vote down the euro? They're still doing it. They don't care what the people vote. They do whatever they want to do. What we want doesn't matter anymore. It's their agenda, it's their plans that matter.
Isn't that prima facie evidence of a tyranny?
Well, there's no question we're in tyranny. There's no question we're living in a world where the American citizen is no longer a free individual human being to do the things that they wish to do. You know, we're slaves. And it's getting worse. And that's the truth. America's not a democracy, but you ask the most intelligent people, what form of government America is supposed to be, they'll say democracy. Because that's what they've been brainwashed. They've been psyoped into believing that. They believe that we're in Iraq. They believe we're in Iraq to promote democracy. The word democracy, you hear George Bush saying democracy means freedom. No, democracy equals New World Order. Democracy equals slavery. The word democracy is not synonymous with freedom. It's the opposite of freedom. Democracy is the worst form of government you can have because it's majority rule. And the government can tell you exactly what they want to tell you to do because the majority wants it. Now, they've taken over our government, both Republicans and Democrats. There's no difference anymore between the two parties. They control both parties. It doesn't matter to them which one wins, because who's ever running for president will be someone they anoint, okay? Whether it's Hillary Clinton or John McCain running for president next year, they're going to be people that are going to do what they want them to do. And the fact of the matter happens to be that you can't win an election unless you have enough money to win. They make sure who gets the money.
la situation est pas du tout catastrophique pour ceux qui financent les campagnes électorales des élus. Et je trouve que là, de ce point de vue, c'est assez logique. Hollande, il sert les intérêts de ceux qui l'ont fait élire en le faisant passer à la télé, dans les journaux. Et pourquoi une banque achète Libération? Pourquoi une banque achète Le Monde? Pourquoi une banque achète le quart Sud-Est? Pourquoi le Crédit Mutuel achète le quart de la presse quotidienne régionale? C'est pour gagner les élections. Et ensuite, les élus rendent des comptes à ceux qui les font élire. Le problème, c'est que nos élus ne doivent rien aux électeurs. Que vous votiez ou vous votiez pas, c'est pas vous, ce sera un autre. Ceux qui vont voter, c'est ceux qui regardent la télévision, qui sont pas politisés. Il faut qu'ils passent beaucoup à la télévision. Vous regardez les curseurs, c'est incroyable la similitude qu'il y a entre les courbes de passage à la télé et les résultats aux élections. Il suffit de monter les curseurs des challengers, vous les montez à 10, 15%, ça va donner l'impression de la pluralité. Et puis les deux partis qui ont la même politique de droite dure, qui s'appelle gauche et droite, mais en fait ils ont la même politique pour les industriels et les banquiers, les multinationales en fait. Mais vous les mettez au curseur plus haut et ils vont être élus l'un ou l'autre en fait, peu importe, ils vont faire la même politique. Alors évidemment, les gens sont gentils, ils croient les candidats au moment des campagnes électorales et c'est notre gentillesse qui fait la déception après. Mais enfin, après 200 ans d'échec du suffrage universel qui permet aux riches d'acheter le pouvoir politique, depuis qu'ils écrivent les constitutions, ces gens-là ont mis en place un système, d'abord censitaire, là au moins c'était clair, et ensuite universel quand ils sont aperçus. Tocqueville disait très tôt, donc début du 19e siècle, il disait « Je ne crains pas le suffrage universel, les gens voteront comme on leur dira ». Et ça fonctionne très bien. Donc, le fait de désigner des maîtres au lieu de voter des lois est une imposture politique. Nous ne sommes pas en démocratie. En démocratie, nous voterions nos lois. Nous-mêmes, un homme, une voix pour voter les lois, pas pour désigner des maîtres. Le fait de nous imposer de désigner des maîtres est une supercherie. Ça donne un résultat plutocratique avec les riches qui dirigent depuis 200 ans.
They don't have an understanding that the CFR is really about world domination, about how they and the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderbergers all work together, with the banks to control the people.
Vous parlez de catastrophe, mais c'est une réussite formidable. Tout se passe comme prévu. La sécurité sociale est détricotée, le chômage se porte à merveille, ce qui permet de tenailler les salaires et d'avoir des bas salaires, donc des hauts profits. Donc tout se passe bien en fait du point de vue des 1% qui se gavent comme jamais. Les banques qui devraient être en prison pour faillite frauduleuse.
Une utilisation de l'argent public qui ne va pas forcément toujours dans le sens de l'intérêt du pays. On pense ici notamment aux milliards qui ont pu être versés par l'État pour sauver le système bancaire entre 2008 et 2010, alors même que celui-ci était victime de manœuvres douteuses orchestrées par les mêmes banques à qui il faut aujourd'hui rembourser les intérêts de la dette.
Les banques qui devraient être en prison pour faillite frauduleuse, leurs patrons se font mieux payer que jamais et arrivent maintenant au gouvernement des différents pays.
And quote, the banks, hard to believe in a time when we're facing a banking crisis, that many of the banks created are still the most powerful lobby on Capitol Hill, and frankly, they own the place. So there is one of the most powerful Democrats in the country, top Senate Democrat, saying bankers own the U.S. Congress.
Et cette impuissance politique, elle est programmée. Il y a un endroit où il est écrit que le peuple n'a aucune puissance. Ça s'appelle la Constitution. Le problème, c'est que tout le monde s'en fout. Nous nous foutons de la Constitution. C'est bien fait pour nous. C'est pas la faute des affreux qui dirigent. C'est notre faute à nous de ne pas écrire notre Constitution dans laquelle nous prévoirions notre puissance. Le référendum d'initiative populaire, les élections sans candidat ou les élections avec des primaires et avec l'impossibilité pour les condamnés de se représenter, etc. Notre impuissance tient à notre démission du processus constituant. Et tant qu'on bavarde sur ce que font les représentants politiques qui sont les représentants des riches, on passe à côté de la cause de nos problèmes. Donc il me semble qu'en recentrant la réflexion sur la cause de nos problèmes, on arrive à trouver des solutions.
The thing is, we have one advantage. They need us to cooperate. See, if we don't cooperate with them, they can't win. And so they always need our cooperation to go along with their programs.
So they try to sell us.
Right. They try to sell us. Democracy, this majority says this, believe in this, do that. The war on terror, we got to be scared. They're always trying to do things to sell us so that we'll go along with them. And once we learn not to cooperate with them, then we win the game. And that's the point. Don't cooperate with them. Don't go along with the program anymore. Stop it. Evil can only thrive when good men do nothing.
Yes.
Right? We got to do something. That's what it is, Silence is golden, but when it comes to your freedom, it's yellow. We have to stop being scared. We have to stand up and do what's necessary to take back, to stop these bankers, these elite, this government full of lies, congressmen full of liars.